Welcome to the Plant-Centered and Thriving Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Kitchens. Welcome to the show, Plant-Centered Listener. My name is Ashley, and today I'm with Katie. We are together in person. It's always such a treat when we get to be together in person.
She loves me.
I do. It's true. So, Katie, today is July 3rd. Anything that you're doing for 4th of July?
Well, I have dogs, so we turn white noise machines on and we hide under the covers and just hope it goes by quick. Very exciting.
Yep. Did I tell you the story? So, sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this. So, Nick and I were in Florida. I don't know if it was last year or the year before for 4th of July. And we gave our dog some calming treats just in preparation for all the fireworks. And we probably gave her one too many because she was so relaxed. We were sitting on the couch and Nick was like, what is wet on my leg? And he moved and she was laying there sleeping and she just wet herself. She was so relaxed. So we're like, okay, well, we're not doing that dosage again.
I used to like it before I had dogs, and then now we're just hiding out.
Yep, absolutely.
But I like the food.
Yes, yeah, the food. Okay, speaking of food, and I'm curious, you listening, if you have ever heard of this dish, because I've described it before. People are like, what the heck are you talking about? So for 4th of July growing up, we used to make this, I don't even know what to describe it, some sort of Jell-O salad where it was like, if I remember correctly, pretzels on the bottom.
Okay.
Some sort of like Cool Whip whipped cream thing in the middle.
Okay.
And then like a red strawberry Jell-O thing on top. Have you heard of that?
Pretzels, Cool Whip, and strawberries. I guess it's kind of red and white.
Yeah.
You got that part down. Is it like in a mold?
Yeah, I mean, it's in like a 9x13, 8x8 or something. So
I don't know. That sounds like a weird kitchen tradition, if you ask me.
It probably is. I don't know if it's a Midwest thing. I don't know where it came from, but I haven't had it in probably over a decade. But every time I think of 4th of July, I think of that dish.
Are you gonna make it for NB?
Probably not. I don't know if vegan Jell-O exists. I'm sure it does. I just never bought it before, but I'm sure it exists out there somewhere. So we'll see what happens. Well, either way, I hope you listening had a great 4th or have a great 4th, whichever time frame you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So, well, do you want to talk about the course and the scholarships?
Yes. Well, we're coming off on our big launch. We just appreciate everybody who has purchased the course and all the good feedback we're getting. Yes. It was a great one.
Yeah, it really was. Y'all are amazing. And the course will continue to be available. So that will always be in the show notes. And if you have any questions about it, we're happy to answer those questions. And so what we did at the beginning of this month or at the beginning of June, we offered a scholarship to someone who really needed or wanted to take plant-based in 30 days. Maybe it wasn't quite in their budget. And y'all, you made this decision very hard on us.
So hard.
So we've read through all of the submissions and we've actually decided to pick 2 people. We were just going to do one, but Katie and I talked. We're like, this is it's too hard. So we're going to pick 2 and we're going to actually share what they wrote with you. And then we're going to contact these individuals privately and let them know that they won. But obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, then you know your story. So you'll know that you won too. So Katie, you want to go ahead and read one of them?
Sure. I think these just speak to, we hope the listeners out there make you feel less alone and that people are going through, similar things than what you're going through. So please use this community and, if this course can help you take that first step, we hope you decide to take that. But we're just thrilled to gift these 2 really deserving ladies because their stories really, really touched me. So especially the one that I'm going to read, I feel a personal connection with her story and her struggles. So I've been on a public Instagram health weight loss journey for what feels like 10 years. I started at 290 pounds and did Weight Watchers. I got to 199 and felt like I did it, and then ended up at 260. No matter what I did, I couldn't lose the weight. My body was against it. After a few years, at 250, 260 pounds, I had weight loss surgery. I had to have a second emergency surgery from that first surgery. She had blood clots, tremors, had to walk with a cane. She was a paid in cash patient, financed the surgery for $10,000 and ended up having $100,000 worth of complications. So I'm just like crying just reading this.
Oh, no.
She got down to 184 after fighting through those complications and lost weight for about 6 months, maintained for a few years. She says she's 3.5 years out now and is back up to 199. She kind of freaked out. She went on RM3s, a 500 calorie doctor prescribed plan with meds, and quit after 2 weeks because she was so sick. Can you imagine?
No, absolutely not.
After failing again, she gave up all types of flour, sugar, and she says the love of her life, Diet Dr. Pepper. She's at 193 and working her way back down. She's eating clean, no fake flours, no fake sugars, drinking water, and trying not to snack. She says she's tried and crashed on it all. You name it, she's done it. Weight Watchers, Atkins, keto, low carb, high carb, counting calories, Red Mountain weight loss, other very expensive programs, and weight loss surgery. So getting back on track, she would love this scholarship. She's given up on the goal of losing weight and now just wants to focus on wellness. She says she could have bought a house or two with all the money that she has spent on weight loss. And so I am so thrilled to reach out to her and let her know that hopefully this will be, a step where she can get off that weight loss hamster wheel and really focus on making choices that are good for her body, not these, promises of these crazy diets, 500 calorie, like just craziness, and hopefully fall in love with herself again, and hopefully plant-based will get her started. So we're so happy that you reached out to us, and I cannot wait to tell you that you are one of the winners.
Agreed.
Because she deserves it. It sounds like she's been through it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how many times we've read these stories, and they are just, they really are impactful.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I will read the second one. All right. So this one says, the reason I passionately want and need to do this course is that I have lost my mom to cancer. She was diagnosed at the end of September and passed away early January this year. Unfortunately, my aunt passed 2 years ago and my granny 8 years prior, and our family comes from a huge meat traditional family. And I know from the bottom of my heart that these deaths were 100% related to diet. All 3 ladies were taken from our family years before they should have. And I know I can relate to that. And I'm sure you listening can relate to someone you know, or maybe someone of someone that you know who was taken way too early. I need to be the change in my family. And the only way to help others and myself is to lead by example with integrity, kindness, and humility. Unfortunately, the exchange rate with where she lives to the US is just too expensive for me with everything going on in our country, daily power outages, and so much more. This is also causing a lot of food poisoning and soiling as the power is off from 2 to 4 hours a day, sometimes 2 to 3 sessions daily. Plant-based eating feels right to me in that it is kinder to our earth, to our animals, and it genuinely makes you a better human being. I want to do my part for all these reasons, including for my family and friends, to show them what is possible and because I feel it's the right thing to do. I hope this makes sense to you and that my answer justifies being honored enough to receive this scholarship. Things need to change.
I got chills.
So we're so excited to also contact you and let you know that you have won the scholarship, and we believe wholeheartedly, without a doubt, that you can be the change in your family, because sometimes that's really just what it takes, is one person to make a change. And that just affects generations, entire generations.
I mean, that's powerful. That is powerful stuff. How many of you are out there are just, struggling with this kind of legacy that you think you're being left with
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes or heart disease, and you kind of are just like, this is my destiny. So I love that she's like, I need to be the change. I mean, that is a strong person right there.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
kudos to her. That just sent chills down my spine when I read that.
Yeah, I agree. We're so excited for both of you. And this decision was not easy to choose two people. We wish we could have chosen everybody. So thank
Yes.
you so much for just being vulnerable and sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate this community so much. Y'all are so encouraging to one another. And yeah, we just can't thank you enough.
Yes. You could see why we couldn't choose, right?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we picked our scholarship people. We're going to reach out to them. Let's talk about today's guest. So speaking of going plant-based, the guest that we are interviewing today, or that I'm interviewing today, she is a brand new plant-based vegan, and she is so enthusiastic about it. I don't know about you. I love talking to newbies. There's just something so exciting about it. And so I can't remember, I think we talked about this in our interview, but how I came to know Gina is I've actually worked out with her before when I've gone back to Indiana. She goes to a CrossFit gym there in my hometown, and we connected. She was not plant-based at the time. This was just this past year, this past holiday season in the end of 2020 or 2022. And like five months later or so, my mom reaches out to me and she's like, "You'll never guess, there's someone else who's plant-based at this CrossFit gym." And I was like, "You need to send her my information right away. Let's get her on the podcast." So today I'm interviewing Gina Jones. She is a self-published author and narrator, and she recently became vegan just 2.5 months ago. Her decision came after watching a documentary on Netflix. And in that short amount of time, she feels fantastic in just 2.5 months. She's like, "Why didn't I know this sooner?"
I know.
So now she's like, "I love to cook and I'm enjoying a whole new menu." And you know what? I think you and I were just talking about this, that oftentimes, maybe I was talking with someone else about it. When people see other people go like plant-based or vegan, they think it's restrictive or that you're not eating as much. But one thing that Gina was talking about, she's like, "I am eating way more than I ever thought that I would." Yes. Yeah. So we talk a little bit about that. We just talk about, what it's like to be a new vegan. What are those conversations like with family and friends who are like, "Wait a second, you did what?" So
It's just like the scholarship recipient, like
yeah.
they just decide that they need to make the change and then they can't stop talking about it.
Yep. So how my mom found out she was vegan was she was talking to someone in class about, I think it was chicken nuggets or something,
Mhm.
and how they're, she was obviously not building them up by any means. And my mom was like overhearing this. She's like, "Wait, are you plant-based?" And so that's how it all started. So I'm really excited for you to hear Gina's story, especially because she is so new to plant-based eating. I think you'll benefit from hearing her story and the struggles and everything that's going on with transitioning in a short period of time.
Oh, can't wait to hear it.
All right, let's get into the interview. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th.
So I met you, it was at the end of 2022 at a CrossFit gym where my hometown is located in Warsaw, Indiana. And that's where I met Gina, and shout out to CrossFit Haymaker because they are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, but so that's where Gina and I met, and you were not plant-based or vegan then, were you?
I was not, no.
Yeah. So first of all, like, what made you join CrossFit?
So I was really skeptical at first because kind of like, well, maybe that's really not the look I'm kind of going for. But after I joined it, I absolutely loved it. And my husband now, we kind of do it together on our own when we go to Florida. So yeah.
Okay,
I
nice.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how often do you go down to Florida? I've definitely seen pictures of like your boat and everything, all those fun things.
So we've been going for 5 years. And we're snowbirds. We bought a condo this time because we should just rent. And so we're actually getting ready to go down in 2 weeks to move things down there and then close it all up until January.
Yep. Nice. Oh, good. So, okay. So you were not, this was like not too long ago, six,
Right.
8 months ago that I met you originally. So what has changed since then? Like what kind of started this journey for you?
Well, what started it was, first of all, going through Netflix, and I kept seeing this thing, and the picture of it was like gross. It was like children eating cigarettes. I'm like, what is this about? It was called What the Health. And I told my husband, I said, I want to watch this. So I watched it, and it was a real game changer for me. I mean, it was like, I had no idea that. I mean, I was never a chicken nuggets eater. I never cared for them, but I know the grandkids eat them. And then I found out they have more carcinogens than cigarettes.
Mm,
And so now every time I see a little kid eating them, I'm like, please don't do that.
yes.
And I was always thought that I was eating healthy by eating chicken and fish, but nothing ever changed. I never would lose the weight I wanted to. I thought I was eating healthy, and my cholesterol just kept going up. And I want to be a person who's all natural. I don't like to take anything. So to be on a statin was, almost like, I was embarrassed of that. And it's like, how can I sit there and talk about being healthy when I'm like, oh, I have high cholesterol, but I eat healthy. And this is as I think when I started my 40s, and then, now I'm 50s, and it just, everything changes, and I had to make the change with it. And so that watching that program, What the Health, on Netflix is what totally changed me. February 22nd, and that's how long I've been on it.
Wow. I love that you remember the date too. And I know a lot of vegans or plant-based people do. Because like this was like the aha moment of my eyes were just open to
Yes.
a totally different style of eating. So you were already on statins then for high cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay. How was that going like with your doctor, like conversations?
Um, it's like every year I have blood work done, and every year I'm always trying to do better. And every year I'm thinking I'm going to hear different results, and every year I don't. And so the doctor would just always say, well, it's hereditary. Your mom gave you a lot of good qualities, and this wasn't one of them. But then I read a book called, I wanted to do vegan, and I wanted to do intermittent fasting with it. And this whole thing I read said that cholesterol is not hereditary, but lifestyles are. You grew up the way your mother cooked. This is how you eat now. This is what you do. But what I did was my husband and I tried to eat as healthy as we could. And we were on a low statin, like 10 milligrams. So what we did was we took it every other day, not telling our doctor. So when we went to do our blood work, we thought, okay, let's see what it is. And they said, well, your cholesterol is really down. It looks good. So that was the thing now where we went off of it, not telling our doctor, and we'll see what we're doing because now we're all plant-based. So we'll see what
Wow.
happens next year.
Wow. So you started making that change on your own
Yes.
without
Yeah.
telling your doctor after going plant-based and you get your labs done and it's actually going down, even though
Yeah.
you reduced your medication.
Yeah. So now I'm totally off now that I'm plant-based because there's nothing that I'm eating that would have it. So,
Right. Right.
and because I get tired of hearing that, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just all hereditary. I'm like, no, I like to be in control. I like to be in charge. If I'm in control of what I'm eating, I can be in control of what's going on that's bad in my life. So
Yeah. Yep.
we'll see you next year. So maybe next year you'll have me on and say, hey,
Yes. Oh my goodness. We're going to have to get an update for sure. Yes.
yeah.
But I know
Okay.
so many people can relate to that of going to their doctor and almost feel like they're beating their head against a wall of like, oh, it's
Mhm.
hereditary. This is just what happens. This is part of getting older.
Right.
You have to be on these
Right.
medications or you get these chronic diseases. And it's really frustrating because you're like, wait, I want to be in control of my health. And right now I feel out of control because I have to be on medications or I have to keep going to the doctor to
Right.
get my blood work done. So, wow. So how have you been feeling since February?
Um, Really awesome. I mean, it's kind of strange because when I read the book too, it talked about how get ready for your your mind to open up, everything just to feel so much clearer.
Yeah.
And I just noticed the other day that it really is. I just have this clear sense of things, because looking back, when I worked, I don't work anymore. That's a game changer too, because I was a very active person at work. I mean, I would hit 10,000 steps by 8:30 in the morning, and now it's kind of like
Wow.
you're retired, and it's kind of like, oh, I didn't even hit 10,000, So it's kind of like so. And I realized when I worked, this is kind of how I wouldn't say it wasn't plant based, but the times that I did eat, that's about all I did eat was like at 10 and at 6, and for me, and that's I always like to maintain a thinner look. And it was just going up and up, up. So then I thought, well, I'll join the CrossFit. And everyone says, well, you'll look bigger with CrossFit. I'm like, okay, yeah, I did get bigger, but the fat was staying on too. And I think because I tried to make the excuses that, oh, I can probably eat some more beef now. I need to really pump up the protein. And all I did was get higher cholesterol and a muffin top.
Yeah.
And that's gone now. Within 3 months, muffin top's gone. I've lost 15 pounds and I'm feeling great. I mean, I have lots of energy and I feel just really good.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you're off your medication, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure it sounds like a huge win for you as well.
Hmm.
So, I know a lot of people listening have partners at home as well, or husbands or spouses or wives. How was that for you? Because did you guys watch this video together? What the health?
Yes, we did. And
Okay.
it was really eye-opening. It was disgusting. Some of the things that we learned, it wasn't only about, eating like meats,
Yeah.
even the chickens like that. It was also like what they do to our food,
Mhm.
to preserve it. And I have a feeling even more what they're going to be doing to our food. And a lot of it is I'd like to use the excuse. I understand that we need to get raw food faster, pump it up, get it out there. We got a lot of people to feed, and but my husband and I are both gardeners, and we have a garden, and we can a lot. And so he was ready to go all into this. The only thing I'm worried about is my husband's a thin guy, and he has to eat a lot. He eats healthy, but he has to eat a lot. And I was really worried about him going on this because he's the type of person who gets on the scale and gets upset because he keeps losing weight. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, shut up.
Yep. I think we all have someone like that in our lives.
Yeah. So it was like, I was really kind of concerned because because we like to do things together. And I was concerned that he'd be really arguing with me about this. So I
Mm.
said, okay, you watch the show, read this book, because he has high blood pressure, he has kidney stones, and he has gout. Now, the book, when I read the vegan diet, it talked about how you get rid of your blood pressure, and it did talk about gout. Now, it didn't say anything about kidney stones, so we'll see how this goes. But as he started this, and as he started doing like the CrossFit with me in Florida, he actually had to reduce his blood pressure because it was getting too low. So we're
Wow.
thinking, he's got to talk to his doctor that he probably really needs just to go off of it
Yeah.
because his lifestyle is so clean. But there's other factors. They say, hereditary. You're getting older. Your arteries, and he's 65, and so things do change. So it's sometimes you have to really find that balance. Is it my age? Is it my lifestyle? And try to combine what's going to work for you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we've been doing this together since February 22nd.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing too, because I know sometimes that can be hard where like one person's into it and the other person is not. So
Right.
that's really cool that both of you were ready to make the switch.
Right.
Yeah. So was it an overnight transformation? Did you do it gradually?
It was pretty much overnight. But was the thing that was funny was we were in Florida, and the next day we actually had a cookout plan with Florida friends. And the thing was, everybody bring your own protein, and we'll cook on the grill. So I already had chicken thawed out. And the whole time I said, I'm looking at chicken thinking, I don't want to eat that chicken, but I don't want to go in there and be like, oh, I'll be a party pooper. So that was probably the last time I ate chicken.
Wow.
Yeah, but, you know, and I discussed it to a few friends. I mean, we'll probably get into that later about friends and how they perceive you.
Yes, absolutely. Which we can talk about that now because I'm curious because you are so new to this, which I think is so incredibly amazing. What kind of struggles have you faced with going plant-based?
Um, when we do get invited out, um, I try to tell them, like, we try to go 100% of everything, but sometimes you have to do that 80/20. 80% always do good, and there's going to be the 20% because you don't want to be that person who, like, oh, don't invite them,
Yeah.
they're going to go preachy. It's like, we're not. I'll tell people, oh, I love all that stuff too, but it just doesn't work for me because I basically give it meat, dairy, and all processed foods. A lot of people don't really understand what a processed food is, and I'll have to go like, well, like spaghetti and macaroni and anything you might a box. And so
Yeah.
but that was really, I never really, I stayed away from processed foods, a lot. And like I said, but as I aged, things do slow down. That's going to happen. And nothing worked anymore for me. So I almost felt like, I'm not getting anywhere. So
Yeah.
this is working for me.
Yeah. It almost feels like, okay, is this going to be the rest of my life where nothing's really moving and I'm going to feel like this forever?
Is this it? Is this
Yeah.
it? I've reached that. This is it. This is where all people give up.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's true. I mean, to some extent, I know a lot of people face that decision of like really working hard to change their lifestyle, this lifestyle that they've lived for a really long time, whether it's diet, exercise, or continuing down this path of just kind of doing the same old thing and the medicine keeps going up. Have to keep going back to the doctor. And a lot of people are faced with that. And it's really cool that you chose this other path that is much more challenging than just keep doing what you're doing.
Right, right. And I think actually for me, it was probably the easiest thing I've ever had to do because, like I said, I've always tried to maintain being healthy, but then I had to give up things that I thought were healthy. And some of the struggles, like if we're talking about the struggles, is I'm kind of really worried about not so much missing the other food, but I love to cook and I love to create these entrees and I like to recreate things at these restaurants we go to. And I thought, man, I'm not going to be doing that no more. But what I found is a whole other type of food and recipes that I'm enjoying. Like I have my Pinterest, and it's almost like going to a different restaurant all the time and I get to try new things. And like last year, I was really big in canning meat and canning soups. So now I'm like, oh, well, there goes, but then I realized I have all these new soups I've been making. Like, well, I'm going to can these all up. And, and it was actually, I'm enjoying because I've learned about new vegetables that I didn't know. Well, how do you eat that or how do you make it? Like kohlrabi is kind of like now I'm addicted to it. Now I'm growing it, and it's like so. Actually, I thought I was losing a bunch of stuff I thought I loved, but I'm actually gaining so much more that I didn't know that I liked. If that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And I know a lot of people listening can probably relate to that because your eyes are even open at the grocery store, like, wow, I never even shopped in this section or didn't even look at these foods, paid them no mind.
Like pull up a picture of it, like, what does it look like? It's kind of, and I was a person who, the problem was I like everything. So I really wasn't too concerned about not being picky because I like everything. And so even the bad things, but I tried to stay away from those. But, I like it all, but I have to make better choices.
Yeah. Yep. So have you gotten any pushback from other people? Because we often say that, going plant-based is not too challenging. It's more the other people that make it really challenging. So how has that been for you with like friends and family and different things?
And I try to tell my people, my decision was not political. It's what's doing inside your body. And what I was noticed one day, now that I'm cleaning up my kitchen after I get done cooking, is I notice how much cleaner my stove is. Like I always have my teapot, and I always have to clean up my teapot because it always has all these grease spots on it because I was always, cooking chicken or something like that. And I realized if that's staying clean, then the inside of my body must look a lot better too.
Wow.
So I put that together, and that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have friends who will say like, well, I just feel like you have to have eggs in your life and you have to have this. And like, well, just try and go in a few months without it and see if you see any changes. I mean, if it's a good change, then maybe you don't. But yeah, those are kind of pushbacks I did have.
Yeah. And I mean, you're living proof that you don't really have to have them to survive or to thrive for that matter. So yeah. How has it been with your workouts? I'm curious like how your recovery has been or if you've noticed any differences in your energy levels, strength, anything like that.
In the beginning, I probably felt like I had this like, what I was thinking like a lethargic feeling. But it wasn't during my workouts. It was what I came to notice was I was just very relaxed and at peace and calm. And it wasn't really that I had no energy. It was that because when I worked out, I actually had lots of energy and probably more. So it has not affected any of that.
Yeah, that's great because I often that's a huge misconception that, oh, well, I'm not going to get enough protein to continue being able to, work out at the level that I was. But that's simply not the case, especially if you are eating a well-planned plant-based diet.
True.
Yeah. So anything just from the last few months, as you've embarked on this journey, very, very fresh, I guess, in a way, is there anything that you would want to tell other people who are also thinking about it, or maybe someone else who's struggling with going plant-based?
Yeah, I mean, just go ahead and try it. Be open to new things. And first of all, you have to be a person who I think loves to try new food, who loves to cook, who's, I'm not a big going out eating all the time. I mean, if some people think that, well, we eat a lot, we eat out more because it's cheaper. It's really not. You don't know what you're getting. And my biggest thing is if I didn't make it, I don't know what's in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely can't go into plant-based eating with a closed mindset. You have to be open to trying new
Right.
things and experimenting and making mistakes because it's not going to be this perfect journey
Right.
either. Yeah. How has it been? Because, with being from the town that you're living in, how has it been eating out, even going grocery shopping and being able to buy plant-based products? Because it is a smaller town. You're not in this big city where there's a Whole Foods on every corner. So what has that been like?
At first, when I was trying to get all the ingredients from this book that I read, that was actually overwhelming. My husband and I were in the produce aisle for over an hour, and he was getting stressed out. It's kind of like,
Sure.
how much do we need? It's kind of like, well, okay, you're just stressing me out. So let's just go with what we got, and we'll just get through this. So then I decided to, you know, let's just pick a meal through the week, and we'll just get from that. Because when you're buying produce, you have to usually buy fresh. But then I found like I love to eat a lot of Indian food. And the spices is really what makes it. I mean, I love cumin and turmeric and curry and all that stuff. So, and I was really surprised that at Myers here, in this small town I live in, they actually have a lot of that stuff. And then I was able to find plant-based yogurt, like Greek yogurt, which I like to use if I have something that maybe I feel like a sour cream or something like that, because to me that's what it tastes like. I was actually able to find a lot of my basmati rice. I like to eat a lot of that. And just a lot of like Thai and Indian food. And like we do have a lot of that culture here. So I think they really stepped up that game. And we do have an Indian restaurant in town. And they do
Yes.
have a vegan restaurant. Yeah.
Oh,
Menu.
like menu.
So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And I think you're right too, like especially in the beginning when you're transitioning over to plant-based, it can be challenging to like again find all these ingredients
Yes.
and get them. But the more you do it, and I would imagine this was the case for you, the easier it gets, or how do you feel like it's gotten easier?
It has gotten a lot easier. At first I was kind of, man, this is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Maybe the first week it is a lot of work, but what I have found is all these ingredients, besides the fresh produce, once you start getting all the spices, once you start getting all your rice, we do a lot of black beans and chickpeas. I said, oh, let's just buy them by the case. It's so much easier. You go to Aldi's, 73 cents a can, and I'm walking out and they had basmati rice, and it's kind of like, just stock up on that. And all you have to do is just go buy your fresh produce, and we do all the milk. Well, I buy the kind on the shelf, so I have a bunch of that stored up.
Oh,
So
nice.
just getting prepared at first is probably your first week of work, and then after that, it's simple. It's probably, like I said, it's the easiest thing I ever had to do.
Wow. Wow. And I would imagine part of that is just because you're feeling so good, or is there anything else that's made that easier on yourself?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
really glad I made the switch.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy for you. And I think
Thank
part of the reason too, like with you transitioning February 22nd, transitioning over your kitchen too is obviously a really important part. And it
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
it's taken you some time, but you've done that and you're feeling really good about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Good. Anything that you're doing now that you want to, share with anybody, or anything that you're looking forward to coming up, or anything exciting going on?
I'm looking forward to next year. I mean, we're going to Florida in a couple weeks, but it's a new area. But next year, when we get back down, getting with all our old friends, I'm really curious to see if they noticed a big change.
Mm,
Because I went down before, heavier, and I was never really a type that was heavy, but I had areas I didn't like, and those are all been, you know, corrected. I guess
yeah.
I could say. And I'm really curious to see if people notice, because I'm not the type of person who starts talking about it unless they. So what's going on? You look so good. How do you do? It's like, oh well, This is what I've been doing, and
Yeah. Have you connected with anybody else in Warsaw who is plant-based?
just your mother.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
By accident, we came in at CrossFit, and we were talking about something, and I just made a comment about like, well, I kind of went vegan, I lost some weight, and she's like, I'm vegan too. It's like, "Oh, yeah. So,
That's incredible. Yeah, so that's how Gina and I were basically introduced was my mom when she's also in Warsaw because they're both snowbirds. When they were at the gym together, Gina had
yes.
mentioned something and my mom, of course, like immediately calls me on the way home. She's like, I met another plant-based person. She's like, do you remember Gina? And I was like, yes, I remember Gina because Gina is strong. So she's amazing. So I was like, I have to have her on the podcast.
It was cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that I didn't ask that you want to make sure that we covered? And I know that you're also an author, so I wanted to talk about that just for a minute
Yeah.
too.
Yes, I've been writing probably about 6 years. It was just kind of like a fluke thing. I got into audiobooks, listened to them at work, and then I started thinking about, stories that I've always had in my head. And so I just took that plunge and wrote a series. And and at that time it was, fun for me. I still enjoy it. I'm kind of taking a little break a little bit this year. I'm in an anthology with another group. I'll do my work for that book. Then I became like a narrator. So I do narrate books for other authors. My booth is in here too. So
What?
that was, it started because I always wanted to, first of all, I thought it'd be cool to write a book. And then I thought it'd be cool to have my book in audio. So I hired narrators. Well, that was really expensive, but I still like other narrators. And then I decided to like, well, why don't I try it? So I did. And then I did my own. And then I started recording for others. And, and the times have changed. I mean, I'm saying 5 years ago when I started this, the world's a different place now. That audience is, and the people in it are different. And
Sure.
it's, and I'm older than some of those people. And I'm not be in your face on TikTok, this and that, and spend more time trying to be a social media person. I just
Yeah.
want to do my thing and go. And so I'm kind of take a little break from that. But I do have some books out there on my website, GinaAJones.com.
Okay. Perfect.
But yeah, that was more the romance. I have a few that's more in the mysteries. And I think next year I'm coming back, kind of rebranding and more of like the thrillers. That's more what I like to read.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because more than anything, that's most important is that you're doing something that you feel like is right and aligned with you and your goals.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, Gina, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And I just really appreciate you. I am definitely going to need an update next year when you get your labs
Okay.
rechecked. And even your husband, like kind of,
Oh, yeah.
with what's going on with his blood pressure and everything and his kidney stones, just to see if that has any impact. Has he noticed much of a difference with his gout yet?
Um, he, I think he has, because when we were in Florida the year before, he's eaten a lot of shrimp, so shellfish. So he kind of backed that off. But he has to take like potassium citrate and stuff like that for his kidney stones, which then offsets, can cause the gout. So it's kind of like a fighting battle. So,
Yeah.
but I have noticed a lot in his, how he feels. He does feel more energy. He does feel healthier, and mentally, I think he's feeling a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. We're definitely going to be due for like a 10, even if it's just like a 10-minute chat, just so that we can update everybody on
Yeah.
how things are going. So, okay. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, I appreciate you sharing about your authorship and all of that. We'll include those links below in the show notes. So if you're curious to check out Gina and her books and different things, you can easily click below to find those. Thank you so much for listening today. We really appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode. And Gina, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, keep thriving.